Hey, and welcome back to the channel for another web development video. Today I'm talking about how to know if programming is for you. Mostly I want to talk about that on the level of total beginners, people that aren't sure if they want to be or pursue or look at development, coding, any of those elements that involve those things in any of the languages. So anything from front-end developers, back-end. If you're interested in game development, if you're interested in anything, any languages, JavaScript, C#, even as low as HTML, stuff like that. So how to know if programming is for you? I made a list, so I'll just go through it here. First thing is you have to be uncomfortable with the unknown. If you're not comfortable with with not knowing how something functions, or that actually might be a good sign, because then you actually want to go and find that out. If you're that type of person that goes, I don't understand this, I'm going to figure it out, and I don't care how long it takes, then that's a great sign programming might be for you. If you are not comfortable with the unknown and don't care to find out the answer, that's not a good sign. But if you do want to find out the answer to things, that is a good sign. And that also means you probably have patience. If you have the want and the ability to sit there and go, okay, I know that I'm going to figure this out, it doesn't matter how long it takes me, that's another great sign. You have to have patience if you're going to learn programming and if you are going to make it in the industry. You also have to be able to deal with failure. There is a lot of scenarios that you're going to fail in, anywhere from learning a language all the way through building your portfolio. A lot of the time when you're programming stuff, you're only dealing with errors and trying to figure out why things don't work. And then you also have a lot of steps along the way where your app's going to fail, where your portfolio is going to fail, and then you're going to fail in interviews. A lot of them, you're going to fail in whiteboard interviews. You're going to fail with a lot of the ideas that you have. So you got to be okay with not getting it right or not getting it done. Just got to be okay with failing. And if you are okay with failing, or if you can accept that it's going to be hard, you're going to fail, then that's another good sign that programming might be for you. If you like learning, programming requires so much learning. You got to learn first how to program like a language, and then you have to learn, how to find out answers to things, everything. There's always learning. There's no I'm now master level 10 of programming, ding, and I no longer have to learn anything. There's always a framework. There's always something. So you got to love learning. That's one of the reasons I love programming. I get to learn stuff every day of my life about programming for the rest of my life. As long as I have this as a career, I get to keep learning. How cool is that? For me, that's great. I'm gonna be 65 and almost retired, or 70 and almost retired, and going, what do I get to learn today? I get to learn new stuff today. How cool is that? I love it. You gotta also like to be organized, or at least try to be okay with having your code organized, because messy code doesn't work. It's hard to understand. If you can't keep your stuff organized, you're not going to go very far. And if you can't keep your code organized either, you're probably not going to get hired, or it's going to be a lot harder too. So being organized is a good thing. You got to like logic and solving puzzles in general. There's some design people that probably don't like logic and solving puzzles, but programming a lot of times is a puzzle. It's trying to figure out if there's A and there's B, and A passes something to B, and now B does something else, and there's a dependency it pulls in, and how does the dependency work, and what's going on here, and then maybe this is leading to an error. If you like logic solving puzzles, then another good sign that you might want to look into programming. Also, making things. If you like making things, especially digitally, if you like making things or are interested in making things, another good sign programming might be for you, because there's so much cool stuff you get to build and be a part of, and sit there and go, I'm going to solve a puzzle today, and I'm going to make something, and I'm going to learn something along the way. That's great. That's great. That's exactly why I love programming. Next up on my list is you're okay with sitting in front of a screen for long periods of time. You just have to be. That's what it is. If you can't stand sitting still and staring at a computer screen, programming is not for you. Do not get into it for the money. It is not something that's easy to do. It's not something that you can take a 3-month boot camp and then make $150K a year and be happy in. Not going to happen. Lastly, you have to be able to handle stress well, because if hypothetically you got that $150K a year job after 3 months of programming, you better be able to handle stress of, this is hard. I have to fail and tell people my code isn't working. How come it doesn't work? This project isn't working. It's not going well. I don't understand what's going on here. So there's deadlines. There's all the stress that comes with a regular job, on top of it being quite complex at times, as well as very technical, obviously. So you got to be able to handle stress well. And then lastly, you got to have grit. And what I mean by that is you have to have basically a combination of these things, but be able to deal with failure and make it through the hard times in order to be successful. And you have to do that just to learn how to program, and then you have to do that all over again to get a job, and then you have to do that all over again in order to be good at your job. So you got to have grit at 3 levels just to be decent at your job. And if you just now are working or thinking about learning to program, it's going to be hard to learn a program. Then you're going to have to learn somewhat of a framework. Then you're going to have to learn some algorithms. Then you're going to have to go and fail in a bunch of interviews. Then you're going to have to go, once you finally get a job, struggle through that job. So if you can make it through all those things, you have grit, but you need grit in order to do that. And then lastly, if you haven't written much code, or if you're just thinking about it, feel free to try it out. Don't just start a boot camp, or don't just sign up in college. If you are in college and you want to take a class, that's great. But if you aren't sure if you want to, get a CS degree, don't just start declaring that as your major and stuff like that. There are so many free resources out there. You can go on YouTube and find all sorts of intro to everything courses out there. You can intro to game development, intro to web development, intro to all sorts of languages. If you want to start at the lowest level, in my opinion, it's probably intro to HTML. You can find all sorts of cool stuff out there, and you can build something in just a few minutes and see what it actually looks like. Although HTML isn't quite programming, but it's really close to it, and it'll give you a good feel for it. But that's my list. How to know if programming is for you. And if you're not sure, take some time, think about it, write out your reasons why you want to do it, try it out. And if you're still not sure, that's okay. Just think about it some more, and know that you can always come back to it. I got my dev job at 35, so not a big deal if you haven't figured it out yet. Anyway, if you like my content, go ahead and subscribe. Otherwise, I'll see you next time.